Hello everyone and welcome back to Greyhammer. Today we've got a really exciting habitat for you. And of course as soon as I start talking my dog runs over here. But we're working actually on a dog's habitat. We are working on the dingo habitat, and here I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I'm going to put the pathing and everything. So this is one of the best habitats I've made for sure. I think this one is really good and pretty proud of it. The building itself I'm not as proud of. I'm still working on that. But here we're going to start working on the shelter with the staff buildings. And I wanted to use the conservation panels for the 3D panels. I really need to start using some different pieces as well, because I've been using a lot of conservation pieces recently. But I just really like them. I think I'm probably going to use the Twilight wooden pieces as well with the conservation pieces, because I think that they look good as well. So here I am just kind of blocking out where I want the habitat to go. This one is definitely bigger than what dingoes need, which is fine with me. Most of my habitats have been on the smaller end, so this one being larger works pretty well. So here I am just kind of marking off the habitat boundaries, and we're going to work on their indoor habitat as well. This is also the first one I've actually built like a somewhat realistic indoor shelter. Like, I'm still not doing really big interiors, but I am on this one doing much better on the making the indoor area look like the dingoes can come in and out of it naturally and not just a giant hole in the wall. I've got some really big plans in the future on things like this as well. Especially with some lemurs and stuff. I've got ideas for the Madagascar house that I'm really excited about. In fact, I actually have some plans for the Australian house that will come soon as well. I think it's going to be really exciting. But here I am kind of putting in this little gate that makes it so that they can walk in, and I wasn't sure if they would be able to because they are an older animal, but they are able to, so that's pretty exciting. I started doing a sloped roof. I don't think I went with the sloped roof at the end. And then here's a little pop it through area, and I decided to kind of go with the 3D viewing area, 3D panels to do a viewing area. I do a lot more editing on this one than I did on the first one, so I hope you enjoy that. Just kind of putting a door in there, not much special going on there, but just covering up the staff area. Now's a great time to mention, you should go ahead and, if you like this kind of content, join my Discord. It's not on that, but it will be in the description. Also, if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe. We are 3 subscribers away from 150, which is my goal for the end of the year. So I really appreciate any subscribes. They are really helpful for me right now. I'm trying to get to 500 because I can start doing some monetization. If you like this content, then go ahead and subscribe, like, share. We really want to hit that 100, and I'm not confident that we can hit it, but I'm feeling good about it. We've been getting a good amount of subscribers each day over the past couple of days, so I'm recording this the day that it comes out, so please go ahead with that. It's really helpful. So here I'm gonna be kind of figuring out, I didn't want to keep this as asphalt. That was something I just didn't want to do. So I was trying to figure out exactly what pieces I wanted to use here. And I ended up using this rock. I wish I'd used the red rocks, but I do a lot of work with it, so I kind of cover the floor. Kind of look like a fake rock that you would see at a lot of zoos. It's not anything unusual for this kind of rock floor, but I am having to put the game on play to get some more money. So if there's a little bit of management, please forgive me. I didn't edit all of it out. And here I am just kind of trying to figure out exactly how big these pieces are and where to put them and how to make this look as seamless as possible. I should have done a little bit more work on it. But then I add something similar over here, because while guests can't make it to there, I wanted it to look like they could come up towards the glass, but of course I also want them to be somewhat far away from the habitat, so I just kind of make this work here, put a little bit of a border. I really like these pieces from the conservation pack. They're very, very nice. Here I think I'm getting ready for... actually, I might be just chatting. This is a longer pause than I remember. Hold on one sec. Apologies, it is just a long pause. I thought it was buffering on me. Gives us some time to chat. I'm going to start working on the fence here soon, so I'm pretty proud of it. I don't show me putting in the fence all the way because it's just kind of tedious. But we'll kind of that's just prepping you for what you're about to see. Yeah, this has been a really fun habitat. I think the rock work in this habitat's really good. You are going to see some floating rocks in the... you're going to see some floating rocks in the habitat. I'll fix those later. I noticed them while I was doing kind of the cinematic shots, so please forgive me. And this is kind of just going to keep people from... throwing things in. I'm going to kind of use this kind of fence a lot in the Australian habitat, or at least something similar to it. I really like it. I think it looks good. And here I'm going to just kind of... Also, monorail station. We're getting that put in because I want a way for people to get here without too much walking. And I want to kind of break up the monorail station. It's not pretty yet because we're going to have a whole lot more monorail stations, and I just didn't want to deal with that. But we will make the monorail station itself pretty, as opposed to the other two. And here I was just trying to figure it out, and the autocomplete was gross, so I tried to smooth it out, but it just did not want to. But here I am trying to get that in order, and I had to figure out a place to put some power. But I wanted to work on some other things first because I wanted to kind of get the layout correct. And I really like how the layout ends. You'll see at the very end. I think I do a cinematic shot of the end. These transport stations are definitely tough to build, just to make them look good. But here I am kind of trying to keep similar theming to the rest of the Australian section. And then there's going to be a lot of little pieces put in, which I'm not going to show you all of that. It's really just putting a bunch of boards and trying to figure out slopes and lots of work, but I think I show a little bit of it. And trying to figure out how to get those, I was trying to figure out how to get those curbs off, but you can't, which was really frustrating. I feel like they should just give us the creative freedom and forget about realism. Who needs it? But yeah, this is kind of just showing the process of how I created those. And you should see the end result there for just a second. Gosh, the edit made it seem longer than that. But we're going to start working on the rock work, which again, also, I'm not going to show you all of because there's a lot of it. But you should get a few seconds to a minute of me placing in rocks. Actually, I think towards the end we also get some more. I started off with this rock, and I wasn't feeling it with my reference photos. I just didn't feel desert enough. So, went with these red rocks. I think they look a lot more Australian outback style. So I'm just kind of placing these and trying to figure out what angles to put these at. Some of them I just kind of make them very simple. Some of them I get way more complicated. I get way more complicated as we start on the bigger sides of the mountains. You'll see kind of great thing, the dingoes can use almost the entirety of this mountain. In fact, I had to fence it in off camera because they could escape from it, even with all these rocks, and them being an old animal model. So I was really surprised that they were able to use all this space. So here I'm just kind of filling out the outline, and I'm using this piece primarily. I use a few other pieces as well, but I really wanted to get this piece kind of just as the basis because it can really make areas like this easy to put in place. I think I was chatting with some people in chat about possible DLCs, so there was a lot of chatting going on, so that's why you might see some pauses, because I'm stopping to think. Just a reminder, you can get all of this content early if you watch my live streams, which I highly recommend. Get some people chatting, and we can talk about Planet Zoo and other things as well. It's a fun time, for sure. And so here I am just kind of putting in these rock formations. I'm not going to show all of it because it's a lot of work. But here is where I kind of fill it all in. And so now I'm just kind of placing rocks in to fill in the space. I at least don't think I put all the rocks in. I do definitely speed this up by quite a bit. Because there's a lot of it. I think there are multiple hours of me working on this rock work. And so here I'm just kind of trying to find these rocky crag formations to make it look like all kinds of rocks were placed here through, not necessarily erosion, but like tectonic movements or whatever, of where these rock layers have kind of just crushed into each other and are making these crazy patterns, which you can see in the Outback pretty frequently. So I'm pretty happy about it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the rock work. It's all definitely was a lot of work to do. Here I think I'm chatting again, so little breaks in that. And this project for the rock work, I didn't do it all at once. I took some little breaks into doing other things. So that's probably where it's going to cut out, is when I finish this section of rock work, because I just get so darn tired of it. You know, there's only so many axes, things you can pull that before you're like, okay, these rocks are getting the best of me. So yeah, I think that's kind of where, and then I wanted to get into the habitat, so I start putting the rocks on the top here. Originally, I didn't want the dingoes to be able to get to the top here, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, well, it kind of gives the monorail something to see, and it just kind of makes this look more like a rock formation. So I end up allowing the dingoes to get up there, because, for one, their climbing seems to be really good, so didn't want to make it too complicated. Here's another thing, just kind of trying to match textures on rocks. I thought for a bit I was going to try and make more of a sheer cliff here, but I end up going with more of the style of rocks that I've already done in here. Because it's just way easier, and it makes it look more continuous. But here I am just kind of putting in rock piles, kind of make it look less drastic shift between each of the like texture transitions. You don't want it to just go sand to rock, so these rock piles kind of break up that transition a little bit and kind of start making this garden, which we'll be adding in soon. So lots of rocks. I really recommend using rocks like this, especially for like a desert garden like this. So I really like how this habitat ends up at the end. We're going to do some custom rock piles, which is kind of what will be floating a little bit in the cinematic shots. But don't you worry, I'll fix those, and I'll be making some slightly better rock piles that will be multicolor, like Flexicolor. I used the temple pieces, which I did not realize were Flexicolor until I added them all to the habitat. but I think they look really good even at their color. Kind of looks like gravel that you might have imported in, so maybe doesn't have to look as much like the habitat. It's just kind of themed in. So here I was just kind of terrain painting, and I start putting in some plants. I don't put too many plants in this one. In fact, I think I'm going to start using a little less plants to try and make it a little bit more realistic. I'm trying to shift my building style to be a little bit more realistic. I do still like a lot of plants in, but I just kind of, especially for indoor enclosures, I've got plans to make them look more realistic. So here I was trying to figure out how to make these rock piles, and I was like, this is really frustrating. Like, I don't like the way that these look. They're a little too repetitive. And so then I was like, small. And I was like, okay, let's look at the rubble for the temple. So then I get this, and I kind of group it and start placing it around. And I probably should have placed it around on a flat surface, but then I just kind of make this stamp. And I probably should have just... I don't think you can align the surface with the group, so I kind of just did this. So I start placing these around. They're very expensive, but I really like it. I might create some more with the small faux rock pieces. And just kind of make a little bit of a better stamp. Which, if you want it on the workshop, let me know in the comments. I don't think it's that special, so I don't feel the need to, but yeah. I was kind of just quickly putting these stamps in, and then I wanted to put some signs in, put our official sign for the area for the Dingo Desert, and put the education part in, and you can kind of see I've already placed in some plants for the garden here as I've been waiting for money. And here I'm going to create my sign, scale it to my archer so that we know that guests will be able to read it. I decided a concrete post was a good start, and then just kind of figuring out how I wanted this conservation board to come in. I end up not really matching it up perfectly on one of the sides, but I do like it. It's very simple. I'm trying to remember if anything complicated is in it at all, but I need to move that left post a little bit closer because I think there's a bit of a gap. So then I just kind of make it very simple, but I think that's pretty effective. I don't want a super complicated sign. So here I am buying them. I think this cinematic's almost over. Yeah, not too much longer. I'm putting the staff in, kind of putting them all in the work zones. Just making sure everything works well. And we're going to get into cinematics, which, even though they are an old animal, I think they look pretty decent and really good traversable terrain. Yeah, and here's me working on the back wall a little bit more. So you kind of see I blend it in. And you can kind of see the dingoes here for short periods of time. You're going to get a lot better views in the cinematics, which I think I am going to talk over this time. Last time I did music, but I might do a little bit of talking this time because just think it will have a little bit more cohesion. Yeah, we'll kind of get that going in like that. And so this is kind of going to be the back wall for our trails into Asia, which I don't know when we're going to start on exactly because I'm so torn right now, which maybe y'all can help me. Should we continue once I finish the Australian section, because I am going to finish that first. We don't have too much more to do. Should we... Oh, I was just kind of explaining some plans for the future in the Australian section, which you will see little hints for, and you can kind of see that back fence. you'll see some hints for in the cinematics. But once we finish Australia, should we continue our North American section, which we got a decent start on? We don't have any animals in yet, just habitats almost ready for animals. So should we continue with North America, which will go off of the South American section, or should we continue from Australia to Asia, or should we start our Africa pack, which we're not going to finish in one go because there's just so much in Africa. I'm trying to get as many of the animals in as possible from each of the areas, if not all of them. I think I should be able to get all of them, based off of my planning, just the way that I've laid it out. But this is just kind of me putting in more trees, but I want it to be pretty arid looking. Oh, and here's the roof. And so I kind of just figure that out, put the floor in. It's a pretty simple design. Not much complexity, not much interiors, but you know, what do you expect from me? I'm trying to get better at that. And at first I was going to do a sloped roof, but the slopes in the game just don't work well with it. And here I do a little bit of an overhang because I think that looks good. And so here we got that. And just kind of finish that overhang. My dog's getting tangled in my mic's cord, of course. But yeah, I wish there was a full... and then I tried the flat pieces for this, and they just weren't really big enough for the slope that I wanted. I mean, I guess I could have, but here I was trying to figure out where to put the animals enrichment things, and here I'm going in with my girder, which is one of my favorite pieces. I just really enjoy using it. Do I use it all the best all the time? No. I also just want to thank everyone. We've gotten a lot of support recently on the streams, especially on Twitch, which I know not many people on the YouTube channel are also on the Twitch, but if you are, thank you, because we've been getting a lot of support on Twitch recently. And it's been really nice to see. And we're just kind of... I say that because I remember talking to someone, I think they were on YouTube, but we got a lot of Twitch followers recently, which we're trying to get to 50, but I don't really have a deadline on that one as much. So here I am just kind of putting a concrete wall. I think it just makes it look pretty realistic. Like, I don't think it's a crazy building that, like, is amazing, and I probably need to add AC units to it. So I just kind of move that sign, get the educational speaker going, because we're trying to improve education, then putting in some donation bins, and here we go to our cinematics. So this is the habitat as it's finished from the guest view. Canis lupus dingo, meaning it is actually a subspecies of the gray wolf. Fun fact. So not a distinct species. You can kind of see some of the floating rocks there. Probably a penalty of me not putting a stamp on flat ground. But here's your kind of guest entrance, and unfortunately the fence is a little battered, but we'll get the mechanic on that. You can see a dingo there. We're going to have some more close-up shots of the dingo later, but this kind of gives you a decent view of the dingoes. And you've got your little pavilion here. This is somewhat based off of this pavilion / close to the fence is somewhat based off of my experience at the Cincinnati Zoo, where I was sitting with my back. I was sitting and I looked behind me, and there was a Mexican gray wolf right behind me, like 2 to 3 feet away, and it was pretty incredible. And there you can see we got a dingo puppy. Listen, and so here you've got a little desert oasis garden, staff entrance, And here I was trying not to show off the next building too much. It's almost completed. Tune in to the live stream at, I know for sure, tomorrow on Saturday, December 28th, but maybe tonight as well. We'll see. I'm playing Marvel Rivals, but might also have some other games as well. I think I'm going to put music on the background for this one as well. I realize it's going to be really quiet. Not a lot going on. So I think I'll just put some music behind in the background. It won't be Planet Zoo music because I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Here I'm zooming up to see the dingo there, and I think we're going to go take a peek at the monorail in just a second. There's a bit of an empty expanse here that I need to fill in with like a garden or something. Maybe a pond, I don't know, but we'll fix that later. And here we go into night, which is a short cycle. But this is kind of the station, which also needs to be fixed up a little bit, but rough form kind of in. And here we go into seeing our dingoes. I just want to thank everyone for watching so far. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I think I'm going to leave you with these dingoes because just let the outro just roll out. So I'll see y'all in the next episode. Goodbye, y'all.